the light of reason, the source of meaning and wonder in the world. And just as we light the candle, let us remember how the light was ignited in each one of us as we were born curious and craving affection. We close the candle in the lantern to remind us that the light must be protected. Just as the flame can be fanned through the virtues of compassion and skepticism, so too can it be extinguished through fear and ignorance and neglect. Let each of us embody the light through the rigorous study and application of skeptical values. Let us spread the light through our shining example and through education and outreach. And let us protect the light by standing up for science and reason wherever darkness gathers. Be the light, spread the light, protect the light. Repeat together.
Be the light, spread the light, protect the light. Let it be so. Awesome. Thank you. How are the mics sounding back there? We good? This is our first time with a new live stream production. So you'll notice we've got a whole AV department set up there in the back. And for the people following and watching on the live stream, hello. Hopefully they have an elevated experience this time around. And for all of you here in the live audience, hopefully if we go back to revisit any of the content from this, it'll also be of a higher production quality, so it might make it a more enjoyable viewing experience. And so thanks to Adam and to Sean, who's following remotely, and to Ty for helping us put this all together and for running the whole thing. We just did our opening ceremony, the lighting of the lantern, and Celina, thank you for that lovely presentation. Just so you all know, for anyone who hasn't been here before, we've been handing out our reflection books. All of these reflections are in there in the booklets if you want to follow along, if you want to read along. And for those of you at home, I think some of these we're going to be putting up on screen. One of the added perks of having the upgraded production values. So we encourage you guys to follow along however you like. So welcome to Sanctuary and happy St. Patrick's Day. When is St. Patrick's Day?
17.
When?
Tuesday.
They celebrate it today.
Oh, I see. This is the drinking day.
Yes.
I got you.
And Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had literally had people message us that they couldn't come today because they were starting drinking like at 8 a.m., right? Okay. That is the true spirit of St. Patrick's Day. Even my daughter had to sacrifice the Greenville parade.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will drink after.
She thought it was going to be the first time she could go. But yes, there's always time to drink later. If you take nothing else away from this, huh?
You got to get up pretty early to drink all day.
Exactly, yeah. Those green beers aren't going to drink themselves. So, happy drinking day, then. This is our 9th sanctuary. Yeah, pretty impressive. We're almost about to be in double digits, which I think we'll be pretty proud to say that. Thank you guys for coming out and for bearing with us as we did kind of the slow roll into our start today. Each location is different. Sometimes we go back to locations. This is our first time here at White Rock Hills, and it's a really cool presentation. The lights are neat. The lighting is cool. But there, as one of our hosts here who's helping us in the space, Emmy, she said, you know, we're a public library, and so funding is kind of hard to come by. So a lot of what we do here is just kind of patchwork and making things work. The monitor is not working. The projector is not working. So we're going without a screen today. And we kind of had to figure some things out on the fly. So thanks for your patience as we roll into this thing. Also, we are granting a little extra time for those of us that were traveling long distances to get here to make sure that we all arrived. And for those of you for whom this is closer this time, glad you guys could make it out. Tara and family, thank you guys for making it out. And it's only fair that we should spread the burden so that, the same people aren't always making the long drive every time. I mentioned the upgraded production values for our live stream. I should also encourage you all, if you don't already follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Ministry of Skepticism YouTube channel, please do that. And for those of you watching, if you're not subscribed already, please make sure that you subscribe. It helps us to get our message out there, and it also opens up more opportunities for our streaming and spreading the light. Same goes for our Instagram as well. Actually, we are not streaming on Instagram today. Usually we do, but we dipped under the 1,000-person threshold. Speaking of a new space, how are the acoustics in here? I feel like it's reverberating, so I think you guys can hear all right? Great. At the last sanctuary, I relayed a story inspired by Straughan, who's in Pennsylvania, but he is one of the ones kind of driving and spearheading this, this surge of innovation and technology that's helping it support our ministry here. But speaking of this 1,000-person threshold for Instagram, we were in the same situation last month. And our account, because we had a surge of bot followers, really. We shot way up over 7,000 followers, and then we went through and had to try and cull them all and get rid of all the bot followers. But so we've left our account hovering around 1,000 followers, but some of those are still bot followers. And so as Instagram goes through its process of removing those followers, our 1,000-person threshold, we keep dipping below it, and then we get organic followers and we go back above it. And so it's sort of this tightrope that we've been walking. Well, last month when it looked like we were going to fall beneath that threshold, Straughan put out a message on his Instagram, and he said, hey, we need followers. And so people started following. And I thought that there was a nice lesson in there, especially for last sanctuary, which unlike this one, I was wrong, this is not St. Patrick's Day, but last one was really literally on Valentine's Day. And so there was a nice message there about being able to ask for love or support when you need it. It gives the people that do love you and that want to support you, it gives them an opportunity to give you the things that you need. Just sometimes we need to hear it, that you need it and that you're looking for it. Well, I'd like to add another angle to that wonderful lesson, because I had another experience online on Instagram, a friend that I keep in touch with largely through social media, who I knew back in California, a music producer, a guy by the name of Dan Sena. He's actually produced some of his own tracks. Back then he used to do kind of like techno, or it's not called techno, electronic tracks. LuLu and I quite liked his music a lot. And in fact, he's the one that introduced me to Skrillex, who it was even before he was branded as Skrillex. It was Sonny Moore who was breaking into DJing. I remember I had dinner with Sonny Moore one night because I was doing some graphics for him. I used to work with Dan and Sonny to a lesser extent, but we used to do like DJ shows around Orange County. And my brand at the time, Ghost Brand, I would sponsor them, so I'd make flyers. Hi, Julie, come on in. But so I went to dinner one night with Sonny Moore, and they were at him and his manager. They were like, we're trying to figure out how should we brand Sonny. Should he go a different direction? We're thinking Skrillex would be, that's kind of his DJ name. Should we go with that, or should we just stick with Sonny? Because there's already some equity built up in that brand from his career as a hardcore or emo singer. I think I probably gave them the wrong advice. I said, stick with Sonny. Shows you how much I know. But so that's how I knew Dan. We used to do a lot of events together. And I saw that Dan, and Dan also, I should say, is a skeptic, one of the few skeptics that I know out in the wild. But yes, at some point we were able to bond over that. I don't know what you guys think about it, but it's way more rare than you would think. And so I saw that on his Instagram, he put out a post. He posted a story and it said, I have to have heart surgery. I have a lot of anxiety, and now would be a really good time to reach out. And so I saw that, and I thought, well, I'd better reach out to Dan. And then, as happens so often, life gets in the way. I had work, have a girlfriend, have a dad, A daughter, there's stuff that you do and you get busy. And I kept thinking, God, I gotta remember to write to Dan. But then I would keep putting it off, waiting for the perfect time to craft the perfect message for Dan. One day I was sitting at my desk doing some work, and I said, you know what? I can't keep putting this off until he goes to surgery and never heard from me, or I don't know who else has reached out to him. So I just shot him a text right then. I said, hey, when's a good time to talk? I'm not even going to try and message him. Let's just get on the phone, then I know at least then we will have made that contact. He wrote me back, gave me a time, and so we set up a call. I called him, we caught up, had a great conversation. He told me about his anxiety, told me about his heart condition. He was born with a condition, had a surgery when he was 2 years old, always knew that he would have to have another surgery at some point, and that point is now. They don't expect for there to be any complications, but with your brain, your heart, there's some things that you don't mess around with, and no matter how much assurance they give you, it's scary. All surgery is scary, but those especially. So he was dealing with a lot of anxiety. And I said, what are the prospects after the surgery, though? Do they expect you to have, is your heart going to perform better? And he said, yeah. He said, I've always, my whole life, he loves snowboarding, he loves skateboarding. He said, I always have to, I have to stop. I can't do long runs. I can't spend too long on the mountain. He gets worn out. His heart's just not up to long endurance activity. But they told him that he should have more endurance, that he'll be in a lot better shape after what they're specifically working on were the valves in his heart. And he said he's looking forward to that, being able to spend more time on the mountain. So it was a good talk. And then the next day I got a text from him. It said, thanks a lot for calling yesterday. It meant a lot. So the lesson here that goes along with our last sanctuary, where if you need love, if you're looking for support, ask for it. The other side of that coin is when someone reaches out, we've got to answer the call. That's how it works. If you need love, ask for it. If you see someone looking for support and love, make sure you give it. And in that way, we keep this compassionate loop going. The mission of the Ministry of Skepticism is to provide an alternative to conventional faith-based religions. We provide a reasoned approach to spirituality and ethics, and we employ an evidence-based framework for the contemplation of meaning and purpose and significance. So we're able to draw upon insights from science, fields like psychology, chemistry, neuroscience, physics, but also we can draw upon philosophy and the arts and even other religions. Since we're not bound by any sacred text, we're able to draw on all of the insights from all of human history. And we spread the light of scientific skepticism through the promotion of reason, critical thinking, and scientific literacy. We're building a community for people who embrace a reality-based worldview and who also long for a sense of meaning and connection. That's why we're here. There's this persistent belief that science and religion apply to different areas of inquiry, and that each should be respectful of the other's domain, not infringe on the other's area of inquiry. There's a paleontologist of note, David J. Gold, who called this idea non-overlapping magisteria. We reject that idea. It is our contention that it makes no sense to cut off our most pressing, most important, most profound questions. Why would you cut those off from the best methods we've ever devised for looking for answers, namely the scientific method? Carl Sagan expressed this eloquently when he wrote that the notion that science and spirituality are somehow mutually exclusive does a disservice to both. to read that entire passage, we actually have a full passage. And this quote from Carl Sagan is also in your reflection books if you want to follow up. But we're going to bring up Agustin to share this Carl Sagan quote. It's in page 3 of your reflection books. And is Agustin mic'd up? We'll make sure you get you mic'd up. Yep. There you go.
Thank you. All right. Can you hear me? Fine? Cool. All right. Science is not only compatible with spirituality, it is a profound source of spirituality. When we recognize our place in an immensity of light years and in the passage of ages, when we grasp the intricacy, beauty, and subtlety of life, then that soaring feeling, that sense of elation and humility combined, is surely spiritual. So are our emotions in the presence of great art or music or literature, or acts of exemplary selfless courage. The notion that science and spirituality are somehow mutually exclusive does a disservice to both.
Let it be so. Thank you, Agustin. Nice. When I asked Agustin if he wanted to present, he said, man, I'm not really comfortable with public speaking. So I said, no worries, I'll have you carry out one of the lanterns, that you can participate in your own way. And so I started thinking of who I was going to have read the quote instead. But then he messaged me back, he said, I want to do it. He is improving and building his skill set. So well done. Yeah, I think you did really well. Well done. We're an easy crowd. That passage is from Carl Sagan, who wrote many books, including this one, The Demon-Haunted World, Science as a Candle in the Dark, which includes in it a chapter which has what he calls the baloney detection kit. We have repurposed that, rebranded it. It's the exact same content, but we've handed out these booklets, the Skeptic's Toolkit. But the idea is it has an introduction to skepticism, what it is. It has some logical fallacies, some cognitive biases spelled out in here. We'll get into those ideas a little more later, but just wanted to introduce you to Carl Sagan in case you're not familiar with him. He is a popular and beloved science communicator who's no longer with us, but he did the Cosmos series on PBS, which was, I believe, a 13-part series, co-written with his wife, Andrewian. But he's an eloquent communicator about the value of science and the scientific perspective, not just as an academic endeavor, but also as a source of inspiration and awe and wonder. Oh, and we have these books for sale. That's why I'm really talking about it. So at the back of the room, I'm not asking you all to jump up and run there now, but we will give you time to take a break a little later. We have some things set up. We have brought multiple copies of this book, and they are, you won't be able to see it here, but in the back you can go look at it. They have a stamp in them. We've custom stamped these with the Ministry of Skepticism seal. It says preferred or selected reading. It's a cool, nice little addition. And we just buy these from Amazon. We're reselling them for, you can go get them at Barnes & Noble for like $21 or something like that. We are selling them for $20, so it's about the same price. You can buy them online for cheaper, and you can get the entire book for free online. This book is available for free, so you don't have to buy it from us. If you want to read it, the most important thing to us is that you engage with these ideas, that you're introduced to skepticism, so there are plenty of ways to do that. Getting these books is one way that you can support what we're doing here, so we welcome that, but we don't need it. The most important thing is that we're sharing the ideas. We also have these pins back there, same deal. We are selling these for $20, and we have QR codes to Venmo and Zelle, which I mentioned last time that we finally got registered as a nonprofit. Now we have set up an official bank account, so we're taking steps. We are really legitimizing and formalizing this enterprise, which is exciting. But if you want to support what we're doing, if you want to support the enterprise, those are good ways to do it. And as we always say, take according to your need, give according to your ability. We understand that we're all at different places. We get a lot of students that come, and as I said, the most important thing is that we are spreading the light, right? That anyone who wants to support what we're doing here, that you have an opportunity to do it. If you think, God, I'd love to have a pen, it'd be great to wear it at school, or take out on the weekends. I just want to proudly support what's going on with the Ministry of Skepticism. Then we want you to do that. And if you're like, I don't have the money to do that right now, then don't worry about it. If you ever do have the money and you want to contribute, we welcome that, but we don't need it. We don't demand it. Really, what we want from you most of all is your support. That goes for the book, that goes for the pins. The $20 price tag is just a suggestion. And if you have the ability to give more, I always point out my dad here, you're welcome to also give more. But we'll leave that for you to manage. We welcome all people here. I see some new faces. Thank you guys for coming. This is a safe space, as is skepticism, for the exploration of all ideas. There are no dangerous ideas. Nothing is off limits. All that we ask or encourage is the thoughtful, respectful, reasonable approach to claims and to knowledge. This is not an atheist organization. Atheism is a not surprising conclusion oftentimes when you look for the evidence. There's not a whole lot of hard evidence for faith-based beliefs, but that's not the only reason that people have for believing in faith-based ideas. In fact, there are a lot of good reasons that people hold on to their faiths and their beliefs. We are not here to dissuade you of your beliefs. Those are personal convictions. We just give you the tools to explore any claims or ideas that you want to explore, and to do it in a way that is systematic and leads to the most reliable answers. That is the scientific method. Although we don't have a strong opinion on your personal belief in a deity or not, or whatever your faith-based system might be, it does not factor into our teachings here or our lessons. We are limited by things for which we can find evidence. As skeptics, we always follow the evidence wherever it may lead. We don't have a fixed set of laws. We don't have an official creed. As we mentioned, there's no sacred text. We just follow the evidence wherever it leads. Skepticism is a process. It's not a position. We care more about how you arrive at your conclusions than the conclusions themselves. If the evidence changes, then we expect our positions to change with the evidence. To share reflection about this space and about this sanctuary, we'd like to call up Sera. And this reflection is called Sanctuary. It's on page 6 of your booklets. And she's mic'd.
This is a place of sanctuary. All are welcome here. There are no ideas that are forbidden, no questions that are off limits. Beliefs are personal. Each of us is free to determine how we ascribe value and meaning. In this space, claims are neither accepted nor rejected by decree. We do not offer a fixed set of laws. There is no canon, and there are no commandments. We offer patience and fellowship and the tools to guide you in your own pursuit of knowledge. Skepticism is a process, not a position. Believe what you will. What is private and personal is your business. But for anything that can be measured or quantified, or that you hope to have validated or affirmed, so long as you are willing to follow the evidence in good faith, wherever it may lead, then you are welcome in this space. You will find sanctuary here. Let it be so.
Let it be so. Great. Thank you. So our theme this week, the beacon that we are focused on, is the second beacon there of empathy. We have 5 beacons that provide kind of the framework with which we use to explore ideas related to meaning and purpose and existence and building a good and moral life around a naturalistic worldview. Each month we go to different beacons just to inspire each sanctuary. Last month we talked about self-awareness. Next month we will talk about morality. And sometime after we conclude here today, Zach will send me a text or give me a call. He's already thinking about what we're going to talk about next month. Celina even suggested we should make Zach like our czar of beacons. I like it. And that, I mean, that is less of a joke than it sounds like. I swear every month he is basically coordinating, like, it was Zach's idea to contact you, so just so you know. Nailed it, once again. So speaking of, yes, we're talking about empathy, and as I mentioned, Zach had the idea. Jessica is half of a couple, Jessica and Dan. Only one of them are able to attend, usually at a time, because they have kids at home. And I guess, not to spoil the story, I'll let you talk more about the special circumstances of that situation, but she has a special insight, I think, into the value of empathy and also the challenges and the struggles of being empathetic. So I'd like to call up Jessica to share her very special Incandescence. And Incandescence, for those of you that are new, is basically like our version of a testimony, an opportunity to share a personal story. Jessica Koller, thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I just wanted to say quickly before I start, thank you for asking. Thanks, Zach. And Sera, right? You spoke last time. I just wanted to say how amazing, eloquent, beautiful. It has stuck with me. The whole thing, I just think was a really incredible communication of your experience. So I so appreciated it.
And it's on YouTube for anyone.
And it's on YouTube.
Yes.
And many people have said that. Yes. Many people. Yes. So I am Jessica Koller. One of my core ontological values is that everybody's the same, essentially. Biologically, on the inside, we're all the same, so empathy for my fellow human is, for me, an inherent virtue to practice. But there is no doubt that if the universe wants to teach you about patience and empathy in action, it will send you some extremely challenging circumstances to build that muscle up. And let me tell you, dear skeptics, my empathy muscle got signed up for a long-term workout plan. Our first child was a boy, Gabriel, a beautiful, smart, and curious kid. At 2, Gabe could say the alphabet forward and backwards. He could count to 100 and back down. Remarkable, quirky child, just like his parents. Gabe at times exhibited strange behaviors that at first could be chalked up to a strong-willed nature. He used to try to get food out of the refrigerator, but it became so often we had to put a lock on it. Again and again and again, and then again. He would play with the dog's food or a bowl of water, pretty harmless. But no matter how much we admonished these annoyingly repetitive behaviors, he was not deterred. I recall being so frustrated and angry with him one day for not listening to me, as though he had malicious intent. A child. I had it. I swatted him multiple times on his butt, the only time I ever did. As I sobbed on the couch, he came over to hug me. I felt I was being such a bad parent for all of it, his behavior and mine. And that was the only time I lost my shit. Short story, the end. Just kidding. Boy, that would be great if that was just it. Gabe loves music, but at that time he only wanted to play a CD for 10 seconds and then play that 10 seconds over and over and over and then over again. Being in the last month of my second pregnancy, listening to that repetition made me nauseous, literally nauseous. We had no idea how to let him do one of the few activities he truly loved because he wasn't playing with toys the way other kids did, but it could send you right over the edge of any patience you'd saved up. I certainly gave myself, or this sweetest little boy, no grace in moments like those. I thought I was a bad mom, making stupid disciplinary mistakes. But at 3, when new baby Zach was born, Gabe's connection to the outside world turned inward, and his language regressed into just sounds or our words repeated back to us. Over the next year, a disparate variety of his behaviors and missed milestones led to a suggestion to have him tested for autism. At 4, a neurologist confirmed our looming suspicion. She watched Gabe not make eye contact or respond, and he bounced around the exam room for about 10 seconds. She turned to us and said flatly in a thick Nigerian accent that I am not going to try, "How did you not know your child has autism?" I felt like I would sink into the floor. Talk about zero empathy. I've had more shared concern from a grocery clerk. Autism is a small, hollow word for such a profoundly complex disorder. We and our wonderful families set about learning how to best understand and treat our child, and did they ever come with all the ideas? So we received not just a million suggestions from everybody that wanted to help, but we also had to deal with the million suggestions from everyone that wanted to help, kind of a double-edged sword. From the beginning, I was astounded by and felt a body-aching understanding of the parents who came before us that had shared their journeys of trying to open the connection with their own child. It's not just for the sake of the child and parents, it's for the sake of the wider community, the world, to include everyone as best as possible. We are communal beings. Understanding each other's different paths can only make us all more enriched. My husband, Dan, is a journalist. Sorry, I'm shaking, I don't know why. Probably because this is visceral. My husband, Dan, is a journalist, so investigating is his nature. And the relational aspects of parents like us connecting with each other felt extremely important to acknowledge and learn from. How might a child with such great needs be helped to engage with a busy, loud, disorganized world? Because research has shown that when special needs children are in the least restrictive environment possible, coupled with interactions of well-trained teachers and typical peers, the most benefits come through all involved. For the most part, everyone usually does pretty well. The most researched approach to teaching children with autism is ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis. It's repeatable, data-driven learning that helps build skills step by step. The preferred behavior is rewarded and non-preferred behavior is redirected. We split Gabe's time between the public school special education pre-K and an ABA center for more rigorous one-on-one therapy. The therapists that worked with Gabe were like angels in scrubs. They could feel parents' concern, their fear, their heavy emotions, but they didn't judge. They took your little person by the hand to begin building skill sets necessary for our life as a family. We began to investigate school districts that have invested in training their special education teachers in the ABA approach. We landed on Capel ISD, moved there in December 2013, where Gabe has thrived, gaining many valuable skills for his lifetime. He unloads the dishwasher, learned to use a broom and vacuum, assemble and microwave his lunch, and to communicate his wants and needs much more clearly. If you can't understand him verbally, he can spell it or write it. 1 zillion episodes of Wheel of Fortune no doubt contribute to these abilities. As our boys got bigger, Gabe, who was already a flight risk, could slip away from your hand in one fell swoop. I once chased him through a department store full of racks of ladies' clothes. As I zipped past a cashier, she hollered, "There's no running at JCPenney." I stopped Gabe just before he slid into an etagere full of fine breakables, pleading with him not to run from mommy. Another time, he dashed across the backside of a grocery store while I gave chase, leaving the toddler in the grocery cart. A lady admonished as I blew past, "He needs to learn to listen." As if I didn't judge myself enough, strangers casting aspersions in a parent's tougher moment is wholly unhelpful. Zach began to take on the role of hot pursuit and tackler, but it started to take a toll on his little heart, fearing Gabe would one day really get away from him or us. We felt his love for his brother and his massive concern for Gabe's safety. That did not need to be Zach's default job when we went out in the community. Plus, the hypervigilance required by me or Dan every time one of us took Gabe out of the house was exhausting. One of the choices we made for Gabe that made a life-changing difference was to get him a service dog through an organization called Autism Service Dogs of America in Oregon. I had read a story about a family in Dallas whose child struggled with severe behavioral challenges. The mom raved about becoming able to just leave the house with her once extremely volatile and unpredictable child. My mother-in-law, probably the most empathetic, giving person I know, desperately wanted to find a way to support this idea. Through an inheritance, we were able to get on the waiting list for a retriever named Presley. Children with autism often have a difficult time orienting to their surroundings. They move around the environment or run away because they don't really know where their bodies are supposed to be in space. So a service dog can help them orient because the child knows they're always supposed to be next to the dog. A belt around the child's waist tethers to a buckle on the dog's pack. The parent is the dog's handler. Basically, you're going 3 wide around a towering end cap of tortillas at the grocery store. So the week-long parenting training by the organization prior to sending the dog home with you is quite important. Even though the general public is more aware and tolerant of peculiar behaviors, they are even more likely to give grace and a bit more space to the parent, the boy, and his service dog. Presley joined Gabe at the hip in 7th grade. The two became superstars at school, which certainly created a lot of opportunities for face-to-face greetings with increased social engagement. Service dogs are not to be touched by other people while on duty, but the novelty and cuteness factor made the pair recognizable all over town. Presley is even pictured in the yearbook next to Gabe's imperfect smile. To everyone's delight, both Gabe and Presley graduated from Coppell High School in 2023. Presley was no longer necessary, so he is our retired family pet. Since graduating, he's now 20, Gabe participates in the district's adult transition program called STEP. The adult program has not always been there and isn't available in every district. Parents have fought to establish programs beyond high school that would help build life and work skills so students could more smoothly transition into volunteer work, a paying job, or perhaps a different living situation, rather than sitting on the couch watching TV, or an iPad all day. Praise be to those tenacious parents. His small class of young adults go out each day of the week to different companies or community organizations. There's laundering the choir robes at a church, learning to place a lunch order and pay with a debit card, or practice playing a game of basketball together at the local rec center. These special education teachers are truly called to the profession because they are devoted to finding opportunities everywhere for our kids' success. A couple of summers ago, through the Texas Workforce Commission in partnership with Coppell ISD, Gabe participated in a jobs program, stocking shelves, sweeping floors, and helping to unload donations at a food bank. The intention was to determine if Gabe is employable. In addition to autism, Gabe was diagnosed with a severe intellectual disability at age 12. He requires constant oversight to stay on task and for his safety. Every shift, the job coach would take data about Gabe's abilities, which helped determine what might come next. As we have suspected, the typical job environment is not the best for him, but there are other options we continue to explore. There are no dead ends, just other places to look. I am a champion for parents to have as many options and as much support as possible. We have participated in parent support groups with varying levels of success. Childcare is often a big hurdle for a gathering of special needs parents. I have spoken to groups of ABA therapists so they could hear a parent's insights who is not their current client, but is an enthusiastic advocate for their work. Golly, the shaking. It can often be a difficult, thankless job, as some parents want their child fixed rather than to develop on their own. I have worked for a company that educates families about long-term life planning with wills, special needs trusts, and Social Security benefits. You don't know what you don't know. Who will shine some light on the path for you? My most favorite endeavor in our district was a task force of sorts, a group of special education parents, special education teachers, and administrators brainstorming to distill reams of information into more relevant categories for parents' current needs, to make that information more easily accessible on the district website, and to greatly expand the transition conversation from only starting in 9th grade to beginning as soon as a child enters the district. These efforts led to Coppell ISD hiring dedicated transition specialists as caseworkers to support teachers and parents to track students' progress, an absolute game changer. I feel it's my privilege to continually pass on what we've learned. Without understanding the short-term, mid-range, and long-term goals essential to progress in a family like ours, the day-to-day efforts can feel disconnected and extremely overwhelming. Your patience frays until it completely unspools into even bigger breakdowns. So how then shall we engage with one another? Can we listen openly, compassionately to the different challenges laid at each other's feet? My patience and understanding muscle is far more developed than I ever thought possible. I did not know what we could endure. I did not know the empathy that would actually be required of me in this lifetime. I did not know what this beautiful, special child would turn me into, or what he would bring out in so many others because of exactly who he is.
That was great. Jessica, thank you for sharing that. It's not always easy to come up and be so vulnerable and share such a personal story. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for letting us into your mind and your experience. And that way we all expand, right, our capacity to have compassion for other people. What the? Are they cleaning the windows right now? Huh? Power washing? We still got it? Okay, we're good. I was doing, I guess what you could call market research for Ministry of Skepticism, which in a way I'm always doing. And I was looking at other groups out there that might be doing anything similar to what we're doing. Certainly there are other non-religious, I guess you would call them secular religious organizations, things like universal Unitarianism. There's the Humanist Society. But what I found in my search, because what I was looking for really are things that I could go to and visit, to actually not just read about, but see what they're actually doing, experience that. I eventually was funneled to Meetup, which is where a lot of these things are listed. And I think actually I was looking on the Center for Inquiry page. Center for Inquiry is a skeptical organization. They do a lot of, they're involved in a lot of activist activities, advocating for the separation of church and state, things like that. But on their page, they have a list of affiliated groups in your area. And we have applied to be one of those groups. Tentatively, looks like we're approved, so hopefully we'll be able to report soon that we're up on that page. But as I'm looking at the other groups in our area, that's what I think ended up leading me to the meetups. And what I found there, I found Sunday assemblies. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but this is kind of a similar idea. They meet on Sundays, but instead of conversations around deities or faith-based conversations, they're usually more educational. Typically, they will have someone come and speak on a topic. So it's not strictly limited to or based on kind of spiritual learning, but it is based on kind of just secular knowledge, I suppose. In that way, I felt like it's not really that similar to what we're doing, because our focus really is on the kinds of conversations and the kinds of explorations that are usually reserved for the faith-based organizations, things like meaning and purpose. I also found some philosophical meetup groups. There's one called Practical Philosophy, which takes place here in Dallas, and they are pretty good. It looks like they meet every week consistently. And so when I was looking, I saw that there was one happening that Sunday, which at the time I was looking, it was probably just a couple of days out. And so I signed up to go. I tried to get LuLu to go. I tried to get Celina to go. Celina was in San Antonio. She wouldn't be back in time. LuLu, what? LuLu had to go skating. I respect that. Respect. By the way, I need the number of, where did you learn to teach your kids how to use a broom and a can opener? You'll have to give me that after. Okay. Bird. Who needs robots when you have a kid?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. You can't hug a robot. Indeed. Okay, so, One day. Believe me, if I could hug ChatGPT, I would. I know it's all, we can relate. That is our best friend. Yeah,
There are people trying to marry their ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's real. But so I went to this philosophical meetup, and the structure I thought was really interesting. Again, it's not exactly what we're doing here because it's philosophical, so it is, it's a much broader in scope. They have a theme, or what they call a prompt, for each week's meetup. For the one that I attended, it was attachment. I always want to say attraction, but it's attachment. And they split us up into two groups because there were about a dozen people there, and they said once you get up to about 10, it's too big for a single conversation. So we split into two groups of 6, and they allot a certain amount of time to discuss it. Then the groups come back together, and you sort of present what you discovered in each group, and then you have kind of a bigger conversation. So it was all interesting. The layout, the format, things that maybe we can use for our constellation meetup, which is a similar structure. But in our group, talking about attachment, one of the women in our group said, this is going to sound weird, but I don't know how to describe this. She said, I'm a spiritual atheist. My ears perked up. Whoa, what? She's like, I don't believe in God, but I feel like I need the spiritual practice. I want that spirituality in my life. And in the absence of anything to provide that outside of a church, she said, I looked around, I tried different churches, and I found a church, and I go to a church every week. I don't believe it, but I get something from the ritual of it. I get something from the spirituality. And she said, and I believe that it's something that we need, that sense of spirituality. Just like Carl Sagan said. And so now I'm really interested. I'm like, man, she's like, when I finally said, I had to pipe up, and thank goodness we've already gone through the exercises of trying to figure out how to talk about this. Instead of saying, hey, I started a new religion, I said, hey, I belong to a group that is trying to address exactly that paradox, that dilemma that you've identified. How do you find spirituality? How do you find a place of fellowship in spirituality and community without believing in God? And our answer is this thing, this Ministry of Skepticism. We've had 9, or we're about to have our 9th sanctuary service. I didn't want to hijack the philosophical group that we were in, so I said, let's talk after. But I did have a chance to say all that in front of the entire group, which was interesting. And so then we did talk after, and I had some flyers with me, which I try to always have, because you never know when an opportunity to talk about this will come up, spread the light. And so I invited her. But is she here? Maybe she'll come in a little later. But it also has access to our socials, to our Instagram, to our YouTube, And who knows when that will bear fruit, but you're planting the seeds. And while I talked to her, 2 other people came up. I gave them flyers also. They were interested in what we were talking about and curious about what we're building here. But the point is bigger than just that philosophical meetup. The idea, which keeps being reinforced over and over again, is that we are on to something, that there is an appetite for what we are doing here. The religiously unaffiliated are the fastest growing religious category in the United States by a wide margin. The number has doubled in the past 15 years. It's gone from 16% in 2007 to nearly 30% today. And those people aren't just leaving organized religion, they're still searching for something. You don't stop thinking about these things. You don't stop looking for answers. You don't stop having anxiety and concerns. And there are groups out there to capture them. You can go on to Meetup and end up at a philosophical group, or you can go to a Sunday assembly, or you can end up in some New Age movement, or even just another religion that you think is closer to what you're looking for, if not perfect. But where is the thing to capture those people in the name of reason, to give them a reason-based, scientific answer to those questions? There aren't any good solutions out there, and that's why we created one. That's what we're trying to do. It's why we exist. We went to Amsterdam recently, I think a couple weeks ago maybe. LuLu went, Celina went, Celina's daughter Emily went. There was a big rollerblading competition in the Netherlands. But after the competition, we stayed an extra day and we visited a friend, an artist friend who I have who lives out there. And he is a well-known artist. In fact, have you guys ever seen drone shows on the 4th of July? He invented drone shows back in 2006. It sounds incredible, right? How can that be true? Ian says I'm skeptical. They were the first ones to put lights on drones and come up with the software to have a fleet of drones in the sky doing coordinated movements. And his entire artistic vision is basically using technology to kind of mimic nature. So they have different installations, that kind of robotic things mimic the motion of grass or wheat in the wind. What they were doing with the drone show was not to have a giant floating hot dog or say Eat at Joe's. It was just to recreate the patterns of birds moving in unison. And so you can watch these videos on their website, Studio Drift. Is that right? Studio Drift. But it's really beautiful and amazing to see these things, these organic movements done by these mechanical drones. And all the work that they do is incredible. They've done installations for Burning Man. They have an installation here in Dallas, actually, a giant tree with mechanical light so that they can control the pattern of lights in the leaves. But so when we visited Ralph, he was really interested in what we were doing here with Ministry of Skepticism. We talked about it a lot. And he said he was so excited about it, he happens to be friends with what he described as the Joe Rogan of Dutch podcasters there in the Netherlands, a woman whose name I'm not prepared with right now, but he said, would you be interested in talking to her about this? He feels like it's such a big idea.
Clarify that she's not.
She is not Joe Rogan, yes. Just someone who, popular, but also taking on, kind of interesting ideas, often at the fringes of, what's known currently. So she is not Joe Rogan. Thank you for clarifying that. But he also said something that I think was really interesting and telling, and I think that he's right. But he said, the only way for what you guys are doing to fail is if you screw it up. Honestly, he said it's such a good idea and such an important idea and such a no-duh idea that the only way it can fail is if you go out of your way to really F it up. So that's, on the one hand, kind of assuring and encouraging, but also kind of puts the pressure on. We can't F this up. It's too good of an idea. So we have one more reflection that we're going to do before our break. Everybody's favorite part of what we're doing here is the incandescence. Jessica, thank you for doing that. Every month we hear that. Their second favorite part is the 10-minute break. So that is coming up. Hang in there. And if you're following along in your program guides, right, in addition to the booklets, we've also handed out little program guides just to give you some kind of idea of where we are in the procession of things. But we're about to come up on the break. Before we do, we'd like to take a moment to reflect upon this community, fellowship, all the things that we have to be grateful for, the fact that we are all a part of building this exciting, new, much-needed thing. To talk about this, Trent, did I ever tell you what you're reading? You know? Yes. Okay, I hope I'm not just springing this on me. Is he mic'd? Yes. Perfect. So Trent, I'd like to call you up. We're going to have you read the reflection on gratitude, and that is on page 10. And you've already got your book? Great.
Grateful for my readers. Okay.
Me too.
Okay, I only read the first half, so bear with me. Okay, gratitude. We have so much to be grateful for. The very fact that we are here, that any of us should exist, despite the extraordinary odds against it. It's truly a miracle. And the fact that we are here in this space together, sharing this experience of communion and fellowship, is a gift worth cherishing. So let us take a moment to be thoughtful and reflect upon this blessing, to enjoy the fellowship of friends and family and neighbors as we come together to celebrate the light of reason, the virtues of skepticism, and the miracle of existence. Let it be so.
Let it be so. Thank you.
Watch your step. Amazing. So before we go to our 10-minute break, I'd just like to remind you that we have coffee, maybe some donuts left I can see over there, so help yourselves to that. I remind you that we do have the merchandise in the back if you want to take a look at the pins. Make sure you take a look at one of these books just so you can see the stamp on the inside, just because I think it's so cool. Hopefully you guys will like that as well. And in the spirit of gratitude, please take a moment, socialize. If you see someone here who you haven't seen in a while, make sure you say hello. If you see a new face, introduce yourself, welcome them here to the community. Let's celebrate the spirit of gratitude, and we'll see you back in 10 minutes. Thanks, you guys. Amazing. So every sanctuary is an opportunity to come together and enjoy the fellowship of friends and family and neighbors. And it truly is a blessing, and we're right to celebrate it and to cherish these moments. But in the spirit of empathy and compassion, this month's beacon, we should also be mindful of all of those who may be grieving or struggling with mental or physical health issues. We may even take a moment to be mindful of our own struggles. Each of our fates are tied to a random roll of the dice. And accordingly, we should be mindful to balance our gratitude with compassion. To read a reflection, our reflection on compassion, we're going to invite up Adam, who now is going to do double duty. Not only is he running our live stream, but we're going to ask him to present So if live stream, all of you guys following, if everything goes on the fritz here, you'll know why. Adam's no longer at the controls. Sean, hopefully you can carry us through. Or Ty can jump in if needed. The compassion reflection is on page 11 of your reflection booklets. Do we have a booklet, by the way? I lost. Oh, no, here it is. I got it. Compassion, please. Thank you.
Compassion. Hi, everyone. I've been hiding in the back today. Compassion. Even as we recount the things that we have to be grateful for, and there are many, let us also observe how much our fate is determined by the circumstances outside of our control. There is not one among us who deserves credit for choosing their genes or their parents, or where or when they were born. And neither is there one among us who deserves blame for their burdens, their afflictions, or their shortcomings. It is a fact of nature that our fate is neither a reward nor a punishment. No one deserves praise or blame for their being. Let us view the world honestly and see each other truly, and recognize that all are deserving of compassion and grace. Let it be so.
Let it be so. Now get back to work. Thank you. Thank you. We read the gratitude and compassion reflections at every sanctuary service, and we find that they are nice counterparts to each other, two sides of the same coin. But compassion is especially meaningful today as we focus on the beacon of empathy. In your reflection booklets on page 7, we have a diagram which outlines our 5 beacons. We don't have to go into great detail here, but you're welcome to take these booklets home with you if you would like to dive in a little deeper on kind of the structure and the framework of what we're doing here. Again, there's nothing new about any of these ideas. This is not a cult. There's no special hidden secret knowledge that we were offering here. This is all just drawn from insights from psychology, neuroscience, things like that. In fact, the first 4 beacons are just modeled after 4 of the most significant stages of cognitive development in our brains and human brains as we grow up. And the 5th one is based on genes, really. Our evolved preferences, our wants, our needs, our desires, as they are motivated by our genetic dispositions. And so I keep saying that there's nothing special about the knowledge that we have here, and there isn't. This is all stuff that you can find in textbooks and other academic settings. If there is anything novel about what we're doing, it's just creating a structure and a framework within which to talk about these things. So that's what the beacons are. So as we talk about compassion and empathy, one of the things that we can do as a community is come together in times of need to offer support and strength for members who need it. We talked about the value of asking for love or support when you need it, and also the importance of answering the call when you see someone asking for it or when you see someone in need. We've talked before, Jenny lost her ex-husband and Brody his father just at the end of last year. And we got to come together as a community and offer support and love for them. LuLu and I had dinner earlier this week with one of LuLu's best friends. She was her roommate in college. Bella and her father, Max, were really one of the first families that welcomed us and were warm to us when we moved here. They lived in the same condo complex that LuLu's mom moved into when she moved here. And you know, there was a bit of a culture shock moving from Southern California back into the suburbs here in North Texas. LuLu famously at one point, when I asked her what she thought of Richardson going to the schools here, she said she liked it enough, but she said everyone here is more racist and more religious and more homophobic. And this was an insight from a 7th grader, basically, but she wasn't wrong. But Bella and her father were not like most of the other families that we encountered. Not that there was anything wrong with the other families, but we felt like they were more kindred spirits. Her father seemed really cool and progressive, for whatever that's worth. And it was interesting having dinner with Bella this week because she has been to every sanctuary service. She's not here today, but she'd only missed one prior to that. And LuLu has assured me on multiple occasions, she said, Bella doesn't just do things, to appease other people. Like if she's there, it's because she wants to be there. And when we were talking to Bella about this, she said, yeah, and especially in the morning. She's like, I'm not trying to wake up at, on a Saturday morning just to make you guys feel good. She really gets something out of it. And this is something that we've encountered a lot lately because we always ask people, what was your experience here like? We want to know how people experience it. Marla has given me some feedback. I've talked to Tara and I'm going to talk to her son. And we encourage the feedback. And we are constantly refining and molding this thing to make it a reflection of what we all need as a congregation, but to make it the best version of itself. And that's only done through community and collaboration. So your insight, your feedback drives this thing. And for those of you that keep coming back, you'll see that every time that we implement that feedback, it keeps getting better and better. And so when we asked Bella why she keeps coming back, she said that she likes it. She likes the community. She gets something out of it. She likes having something to do. The kind of thing that we used to or would have done when we had to go to church. But for whatever reason, when we become disillusioned with those kinds of institutions, whether it's because of the seemingly capricious morality or the often dubious claims about reality or fact, their dubious fact claims. But when we leave the church for whatever our reasons are, there's a lot that we give up and that we miss and that we long for. And so when I hear from Bella, and my mother even, when I asked her, actually I don't even know if it's solicited. I think she called to tell me because she knows that I'm sensitive to these things and I'm always craving feedback. And not just to hear that I did a great job, which I hope that she'll tell me. None of you are obligated to tell me that, but my mother is the one person, if I call and ask for her feedback, I'm only expecting her to say that I did a great job. But from all of you, I want your honest opinion. Thank you, Ian. But she said, I want you to know that the reason I come, and she came last week when we were in Oak Cliff. My mom and my my stepfather, Essie, live in Denison, which from Richardson's an hour away. From Oak Cliff, it's tack on another 45 minutes. They made a long haul, and if Bella thinks it's hard getting up to make it to an 11 a.m. start when you're already in Richardson, imagine getting up coming from Denison. It was a major, major undertaking. When they showed up, I was stunned. I thought there's no way my mom and Essie are showing up for our Oak Cliff stop, but they were there. And she called me after that, and she said, I want you to know that the reason I came, it's not just to make me feel good. It's not because she feels obligated to be there. She said, I get something out of it. I like being around those people. It feels good to be around those people. People that you feel a community with, like-minded people. You don't feel like you're being judged for anything. It's a welcoming group. And that's what we're trying to build. It's why we exist, is for that sense of community. So for as much as we put hard work into writing reflections and coming up with rituals, and we put on this whole production, really it's the community that binds us. That, at the end of the day, it's why they always say their favorite thing is the incandescence, hearing the personal testimony from you. That is what binds a community, and that is what makes a religion valuable. But so the reason that we met with Bella for dinner was not just to get her feedback on coming to these sanctuaries. I mentioned Bella and her father and how warm they were to us. Her father passed away this month. He was diagnosed with cancer, stage 4 cancer, just a few years ago. So that was a terminal diagnosis. And as Bella said, she began grieving the loss of her father the moment they got the diagnosis. It's something she and everyone who loves him has had to live with for the past few years. They were in a similar situation. Brody and Jenny and all that loved Dylan, he got a terminal diagnosis. You live with it for a while. You grieve for a while. You grieve for as long as they're alive with the diagnosis. And so while she is dealing with a lot of pain now with the loss of her father, she also acknowledged that it's a different kind of grief once he passed. It's a kind of grief that she can focus on, and it becomes more steady. You're not faced with this constant anxiety about what's going to happen. When's going to be the last time that I see my father? Bella also lost her mother when she was in grade school. So some people, we talk about a random roll of the dice, through no fault or blame of their own, some people just get more than their fair share. And Bella has definitely had more than her fair share of trials. She's lost both parents. But she's surrounded by people who care for her. Her grandparents live here. Her father's brother, her uncle, lives locally. She lives with her grandfather. And she has friends like LuLu who care and support her. And she has us, a community, which we know she likes and she finds value in because she keeps coming back. And Bella messaged LuLu this morning. She said she wasn't going to be able to make it today, but that she's going to follow in the live stream. So Bella, we are thinking about you, clearly, and we are sending our love and our light to you as you go through this time. Because that's what communities do. We are here to offer our love and our support and to share our light, this light, with Bella in her time of darkness. So I'd like to call up LuLu now. We have a reflection on suffering. We don't read all of our reflections every month, but when it's appropriate, we do have a reflection that contemplates these kinds of things. That is our suffering reflection. So on page 13, LuLu's going to read for us our reflection on suffering.
Randomness and indifference can seem cruel when viewed through the prism of suffering and profound loss. But there is no cruelty or... Okay, sorry. Excuse me. There is no cruelty or benevolence without intent. Okay, let's hope I can make it through this. Sorry. Yeah, that would be helpful. Thank you. Deserve neither a praise in times of joy nor a scorn in times of despair. The only meaningful source of connection and comfort in times of happiness and sorrow is other sentient beings just like us. There's peace. The universe proceeds persistently to natural laws, completely indifferent to the fate of any individual. Whenever we think we've been granted more than we deserve, or dealt more than we can handle, let us take comfort in the knowledge that we are not alone. We're surrounded by just like us, capable of compassion, love, support, strength, and understanding.
Let it be so.
Thank you.
Thank you, baby. Thank you, everyone. That's the power of community. We come to support each other. That was really wonderful. And so much of what we're going to talk about today, or what remains to be talked about, as we talk about compassion and empathy and feeling the pain of others, is that we don't take away the pain. You can't hope to do that. That's not realistic. But we can offer comfort to help get through the pain. So I'm not sure they fully thought through the order here, but if you're following along the program, now is when LuLu would go into her what is skepticism. How are you feeling about that?
I think I can do it.
I've put her in a tough spot now, having to recover from that emotional outpouring, and just to go into some talk about skepticism. But we are a religion built on something. I mentioned in the opening that this is not an atheist organization. Atheism is not a surprising conclusion to come to when you're following the evidence, but it's not a required position to participate here. But we talk a lot about skepticism. This is not a religion founded on the absence of something. We're not just about the absence of deities or the absence of a faith-based worldview. We are providing something positive, and that is a critical approach to claims, the tools and the techniques and the values of science and skepticism, the inspiration for our 5 beacons. So our lessons are not magical or supernatural lessons. They're grounded in empirical observations. So to talk to us a little bit more about the scientific method and what skepticism is, I would like to call back up my daughter. Hi. What are you looking for? It's not an art class. You're welcome to join us, but it's not an art class. It's all right. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. No, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hoping for this. Thank you.
Love you, baby.
Love you too.
Okay.
Okay. So, how do we decide what's true? How do we avoid fooling ourselves? And how do we navigate a world full of claims? One of the best tools we have for doing this is skepticism. Well, what exactly is it? Like we've said, skepticism is a process, not a position. Specifically, it is a process rooted in the scientific method to assess the validity of claims. It is an approach to evaluating claims that emphasizes empirical evidence, logical reasoning, methodological rigor, and openness to revision. At its core, scientific skepticism asks, what is the quality of the evidence? Are alternative explanations ruled out? Are cognitive biases, incentives, or errors influencing conclusions? Can the claim be independently replicated or falsified? If I had to summarize skepticism as concisely as possible, I would describe it as withholding judgment or belief until sufficient evidence is presented. It's also valuable to identify what skepticism is not, because the word is easily misrepresented, and some people just haven't been exposed to what it actually is. So skepticism is not denial of everything. Many people think that when you are a skeptic, that means you don't believe in anything. But as discussed previously, skeptics follow where the evidence takes us.
Y'all looking for the art class? Wait, is our time up or something? Yes. What time is it? Huh?
Okay.
Uh-oh. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. There's that, but yeah. You got a little taste of what is skepticism, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, well, guys, sorry, that was an abbreviated session.
We do love you, Bella.
Words, Celina, the location I have here, bear with me one second. Yeah. So we are going to White Rock Ale House and Brewery. White Rock, and we're not running out of here. So if you have any more, but it's White Rock Ale House and Brewery. I think it's only a few minutes from here. Great. So Zach endorses it, and LuLu can, if you want to know more about skepticism, LuLu will be happy to fill you in there. Sorry, we totally lost track of time. I know. Huh. Bye, live stream. Oh, man, crazy. Maybe we have to stack the chairs up? That's what I'm wondering. Is Celina here? Celina, do we need to stack the chairs up? Okay, so we can leave the